Welcome back. We have prepared our clips in the source monitor, in and out points, made subclips if we needed to. The next step is for us to create our sequence and then start building our sequence. And our sequence is going to be the order that we put our clips in for our video. All right, and we're going to build our sequence in the timeline. A couple ways to create a sequence. First, at the bottom of the project panel here, you have a new item button. Looks like a piece of paper with a bottom left-hand corner folded over. If we click that, you can choose sequences. You can also go up to File, New, Sequences. Either way, your new sequence window will appear. All right, here we have some presets depending on what we want, maybe what we filmed with. We can look through these presets and we can match how the clips were recorded and create a sequence based off of those. All right, we can also go over to settings, and we can kind of customize how we want our sequence to look like with the frame rate, the frame size, audio stuff, all that there. All right. I'm going to hit cancel. The problem for us for going through that way is that the preset we choose may not match how we recorded on whatever device we're recorded on. So a couple ways we can make sure that our sequence size and frame rate and all that stuff matches our recorded frame rate and size and all that stuff. We can create a sequence based off of the recorded clips. All right, a couple ways to do this. You can, in the project panel, you can right click on a clip. You can choose New Sequence from Clip. And you can also, either from the project panel or from the source monitor up here, you can drag and drop the clip on the timeline. All right. The one thing to look at with creating a sequence by either right click and New Sequence from Clip or dragging and dropping is our sequence. All right, here's our sequence here. All right, the little icon looks like a hopscotch, looks like a puzzle piece, you can call it, is going to be the same name as the file we created it from. All right, so when you do it this way, go ahead and rename it. Right click, rename, and call it something about the project. All right, how to, stop motion, whatever it is. All right, that way we know that this is the sequence here, not to confuse it with the clip here. All right. You'll also notice when we created the sequence, our now program monitor and our timeline have become active. Program monitor top right. This is going to give you a playback of what you're building of your timeline. So kind of what it's going to look like as when you're finally done with it. Program monitor is going to be very similar with the time codes and some of the buttons as our source monitor from last time. The only difference, our source monitor, we are putting into the sequence, into the timeline. Our program monitor, we're taking out of the timeline, right? But you also, everything else is pretty much the same. With the time code on the left, it's going to be where your playhead is. Time code on the right is the total duration. All right. In the timeline, we have the time code here at the top left. This is going to be where the playhead is, and our playhead is this line here that runs vertically through the entire timeline panel there. All right. time code at the top, time ruler at the top. And then we have our tracks. V tracks are going to be for your video or your graphics. And then your A tracks are going to be for any audio. All right. How our tracks work for our video tracks, what is at the bottom here, what's on V1 will be underneath what is on a higher track. All right, so when you're putting like text on top of your video, or you're putting a graphic down in the bottom, third or whatever, all right, that text, that graphic, you're going to want on V2, V3, depending on how many video tracks you have. That way we can see it in front of the video behind it. All right. So we have our first clip in there. All right. Now we're ready to build our sequence. A couple different things that we can do. You can drag and drop from the source or the project panel, again, like how we created it. All right, so I'm going to drag video. I'm going to drag it onto my timeline here, and I can just move it, and it will snap to the one in front of it. And I'm going to zoom in right so you can see it. All right, subclip, drag, drop here. All right, we also have, going back to the source monitor and entering clips into the timeline, we have a insert and overwrite edit. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do both of those. All right, these are going to be ways to put it from the source monitor into the timeline, and it's all based off of where the playhead is. All right, so the first one I'm going to do, I'm going to put my sub-editing clip that I have up here in my source monitor. I'm going to put it into my timeline where my playhead is. All right, to use these insert and overwrite, all you're going to do is click the button at the bottom of the source monitor there. So I'm going to click insert. And here you can see my playhead started here, and it inserted to the right of the playhead. All right, and what it did was everything to the right of my playhead to begin with, before I clicked the button, it pushed that right or down the playhead to make room for this sub-editing clip that I put in here. All right, so it's going to just insert it from the start, from the playhead, for the duration of that in and out point, or the duration of the clip, and everything from the right is going to be pushed down to right of the playhead is going to just be pushed down the timeline to make room for it. All right, so I'm going to hit undo to take that away, and then I'm going to go to my overwrite button. This is going to be the second from the right on the source monitor. Same kind of idea. It's going to based off of where the playhead is. I'm going to go ahead and click it. All right, this time, instead of pushing everything to the right, it's going to overwrite the file, delete out the file that is to the right of the playhead, and be put in there for the duration of the clip that you used that overwrite edit. All right, for us, really using the drag and drop is probably going to be the easiest for you to be able to go ahead and build your sequence.